Sham sagt the meiste da Flamme mit alle Dinge, was gibt was so mit Schein ist, so Schein aber geht's gut. Sagt der Gemara. So we left off by the Pasha of Shikha. The Gemara wants to know by Ta'ina, which is in a chotze. Shetach in the Mishnah, Ta'ina is a tree, a fig tree. It's in a chotze, and that chotze. Let's see me. That's like. So that is a question. If the tree is in the chotze, so is the tree on top of the tree considered part of the chotze or not? So we saw a couple of different shotim. The Rashi says because there's a mechitza around the chotze, and this tree extends above the chotze, even though that's not in the Mishnah, but Al Kaponim, that's how the Rashi explains the Mishnah. So this is a question if it is keveya or not keveya. And the Gemara wants to question now, okay, also that shayla by when you get to the kavisa b'chotze, what's going to be by what? By shikha. Same kind of a thing, where he's standing in the soda. By shikha, you have to have a soda. And that was the mitzvah in shikha. So what happens if he's not besoda? It's on top of a tree in the soda. Is that considered the same thing? So the Chiyei is busy with this, including the Askal fraction does all sorts of ton instruments and Sveitin. The way he explains the question, he said it has a chashivus of a chotze. This has a chashivus of a chotze, and this has to have soda. Has to be in the. I don't know why I use that word. There's much more important reasons why. A chotze is keveya. Chotze is keveya. Why? Because it has a mechitzas. Or it's keveya. Or shetach hapash in the toilet. You have to have a chotze in the chotze, and this is not considered a chotze. The tree is outside the chotze. A tree is nishka chotze, right? A tree is nishka chotze, but a tree could be a soda, part of a soda. So what's the portion of shalat? What's two shtel one with the other? So this halacha that we saw, just to explain here how this halacha works with soda and with it, because it's not in the Babli, because we don't have the Babli on the Mishnah, but the Rambam explains it like this. He says like this: Hoye bala soda b'ir. This is Perikei halacha beis in Matan Sanim. Hoye bala soda b'ir. V'oimi yedei ani she'apa'alim shakhin oime b'soda she'b'mokim ploni, because the shikha has to be b'soda. They're not from a pasuk. They shouldn't pasuk. And he knows that the Pa'alim are going to forget they're forgetting in the soda. Shakhu, and the Taka forgot that he's a shikha. Even though he's be'ir, and he knows, he's not forgetting. That's enough. Vim hoye b'soda, v'omer came, and if he wasn't the soda, and he says, I know the Pa'alim forgot, and I didn't forget, is ain't a shikha. Shashikha mikore b'soda hu ha-shikha. Has to be b'soda, and not be'ir. In other words, he's saying besoda that the Pa'alim forgot about a beer. Doesn't ishkan shikra. Abo beir. I feel the zocher the besoy shokoch is damots aiza shikra shnev shchachto im besoda v'loy beer. You learn besoda and ish beer. Talk to Rikukus. To understand this Mishnah, look at Azay. It's by Adim Vatam, because we betoises in Yuralef and Bometzia. Zocher l'seif shekuach, hainu shezocher b'shashim et tcheles ha'shikra be'eshe shechu u'pe'alim. Amash zocher koidim b'shash zechiyas ha'pe'alim ein zeh kori zocher. V'timtze shikra l'oilam. Everybody, k'shehi b'soda yoyim ani zocher ha'koil. Ve'en shamoy shikra ad kan. B'vadai, kol zeh medaber b'chozu b'shokroy. Dile chozu b'shokroy. When the person goes into the field, he's not forgetting any of the bundles. He knows everything is here, and he can take everything out. So Avada, he's saying that that's called Zocher V'Shoy Shokcha. Zocher V'Shoy Shokcha is the Shalom the Gemara. So Al Kaponim, the Gemara wants to see that this halacha, if he has something in the soda, is that considered like a tree in the soda, benegay to the shikha, and a tree in the chasa, benegay to the din of Kaviyas Maisa. which I haven't found yet a good pshat to explain them. What does one have to do with the other one? Unless we'll say that he's saying that because of the mechitzas, the chotz is a chotz, and the chotz is a chotz, and the question is a tree part of the chotz or not? And the same thing, who adinami an elon, b'soicha soda is an elon part of the soda or not part of the soda. So he wants to say this is al bazar. Even though the Mishnah doesn't tell us, the Gemara doesn't tell us how big this tree was, how tall the tree was, which we got nothing to find. How wide it was, did it have a 4x4, didn't have a 4x4, like the Ganze Tais Noten by Kom Pesach. It's a very, very interesting Gemara that the Gemara wants to say, is this considered part of the Soda, not part of the Soda, or part of the Chotzer, not part of the Chotzer? And it leaves out all the other examples, where throughout Shas we have Dinam of Dalid, Dalid, if a shin other Sachen here, the Gemara is not explaining. It's very, very bekitzer. So, straight right in the Mishnah. So this is the Taina. A Taina is the fig tree, and that's the discussion we have. That the Taina is the fig tree. So Shaitach in the Mishnah, you could eat it achas, but not with a tzirif. That's stated in the Mishnah. Shu emed b'chotza oichel achas and pote v'im tzirif chayiv. Eat more than one. It's a tzirif. It's chayiv because it's outside the chotzer, but with a tzirif Thomas suggested. Next part of the Mishnah, Chavtes Lamed Aleph, said in the Mishnah, Gefen shehi Nטועה b'chotzer. A gefen is not a tree; it's a vine where the grapes grow. Nטועה b'chotzer. It's planted. The gefen. You're talking of vines that are planted in the chotzer. Interesting, the Lashon, I'm just pointing it out here. Ta'ina, shu'ei medes b'chotzer. Said by Ta'ina, doesn't say zerua, it's gepflanzt, it's Nטועה. It's standing in the chotzer by Ta'ina. The fig tree is standing there. Yeah, but Gefen, doesn't say medes, it says Gefen, shu'nטועה b'chotzer.
Lays on the ground.
What was?
The vines lay on the ground.
Nטועה. Yeah, it doesn't say who shecheves. Where medes, right? He says Nטועה. This is eingepflanzt. It's mechubet to the karka. Taina the loichidav zone. We're talking about a taina here. That's also a taina that it's mechubet to the karka. It's not mechubet to the karka. It's part of the chotzer, right? You have a taina on the cut-off tree that's on the ground with figs on it, and the branches are cut off. That's not shum shayla that it's not part of. But it's part of the chotzer.
It's standing high up. So.
Standing, medes. Okay. Why standing? Has to be mechubet. Okay, I'll just give you an orders. In durch steht that Gefen Nטועה b'chotzer is not as color eshkol. There's no din over here that there's a problem with tziduk because the eshkol is made of many grapes, right? Eshkol is a bunch of grapes. I have a whole bunch of grapes, and on the grape, and that
like a grapefruit. No, isn't eshkol a grapefruit?
No. Eshkol we're talking here. You're talking about eshkoliot. That's something else. No. We're talking about Gefen. Gefen, you take it back.
Well, I'm bringing the modern Hebrew.
Yeah, no, be careful. Yeah. All right, it's okay. I'll forgive you this time. So the grapes has a bunch. It has a bunch of grapes, and there's many on the grapes, many grapes. So even though we talk about Taina, make it sirup, but we talk about the Gefen, there's no just called Eshkol. Tanakam hold you take the ganze Eshkol, and there's no problem with sirup. Chem b'mirmoim, chem b'aftia, same thing by pomegranates and melons. Divei reptaf. As they halt reptaf. So look at the Gemara right in the middle of the Yom Adamar Amar Aleph. Tamon tininon, but you land dort in a Braise. And this is a Braise in Trumas Periches, Mishnah Gimel. Hoy oichel as eshkol. He was eating this eshkol, the bunch of grapes. V'nechnas min agina lechotza. Agina is a garden, and a garden is not kaveh l'maisa. But he's going and he's walking from the gina into the chotza, eating these grapes. He's coming to the chotza. And the chotza is kaveh. Because he started it before he came in, his yigma, he can now finish it in the chotzer. He has to give meiser, now his kabah. No. Ungefangen, mega endigen. Abzida, Abchia, B'Shem, Yochanan. So they want to know like this. Still, so the Tafim says that Noitel as Kola Eshkol, how does he hold? He held to the Tafim. Either the Tafim could bless it. Does the Tafim hold like a blazer says Yigmar. And many of the unfortunate say the Pshat is over here, the Hiskel Beheta. The Balti started Beheta in the Gina. And the Gina is not Keveya, is that he could be Messiah. So does Reb Tafin hold like Reb Lezer? So that's why Reb Lezer says that is Yigmar. Chen b'avtiach. Noitel is called eshkol. Why? Because he holds like a blazer. Or the Tafin keblazer, he holds like a blazer. What does the blazer say? Obat uktzes oichel. He makes the eating of the uktzes, the end of the oichel, mitchilosei, as he started it from the beginning. This says that it's not considered two achilas, and two achilas would be a tziruf, and that's not permitted. It's considered as maybe one achila, because one achila, that's the reason why the Tafin says that you continue to eat. Noit divrei tafen, and you don't have to split it up into achilas like we have by the Taina. Ovad achila sheyesh bo shtayim shalosh achilas kila achila achas. Even though this eshkol could have 20 grapes on it, so even though he has many achilas, but he made from this it's one achila.
Why is it different?
Why is it different? Okay, let's see. It was like the plain motion. Okay, what you want to say that the Taina, it should be the same thing like the grapes, right? But for whatever reason, the Mishnah is telling us Taina is not like grapes. Because the eshkol is one, and because the eshkol is one, you can't eat more than one eshkol. But if you eat the whole eshkol, that's a chefta for an eshkol. That's the pshat. Masha and Taina, each one is a davar shiva minion. Each one is individual. That's how the push the pshat in the Mishnah. Taina and eshkol is one. This is a fig, and that's an eshkol. But not every grape, fazich, in this concept of the chila. So if I hold now that what I hold like not the blazik hold is telling me hiskul beheter. That's why it's different. Different is because the heter. The blazer holds is one achila. So there's two ways how to understand the Mishnah. Zuk yes the pnei Moshe tamon teninon. Tanon teninon. The elbepech has the trum is because in nami lohod the shop. Those stated he started to eat a beginner, which is not keveya. And now he comes and he's walking with this ta'ina that he's eating. He started eating in the garden. He can finish up in the chosed. Look at that nazay. The Tafin said he could finish. Now the class the Gemara. Oh, the Tafin the Mesnisen could bless it the hosam. The Tama havya mishum shehiskul beheter. He started beheter. Now this to me is difficult to understand. What's this word of hiskul beheter? Yigma. When do you have this word of hiskul beheter? The Trefman, Rabbi said the concept hiskul beheter. Here you have a issa. You're going in what? Very good. So hiskul beheter, dort Abib Sochim, angefangen zu essen dort Yom Shishi, Shabbos, what?
Every day, Mishum Shabbos. You know, from Mincha. If you started, then you can keep
going.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, very good. So these are all things that what? The Gzeis Chacham, right? The Gzeis Chacham says you can't eat on the stress and Shabbos because it's probably the Teyovim, not person the Teyovim. This is the Teyovim. Shabbos, Mincha, what you're saying is because of Mincha, he's going to sit with Fnei HaSapel, Fnei HaMincha, do a Mishnah Shabbos. He's always Zeis Chacham, and the Chacham said, don't do this, because you're going to go to the barber before Mincha, it's the Vergessen, and you can be over this man, right? Hiskul Beheter, Chacham U'Mata. This all the Rabbonans, a sword of Hiskul Beheter. Now you have all of a sudden, and Shetach is the Gemara, but the Moshe brings it, I think the Rab brings it, Sach bringing the sword, he's not the only one. He said Hiskul Beheter. What says Hiskul Beheter? He's beginner. The beginner is not keveya. The chotzer is keveya. And if it's keveya, it's an issa d'oraisa. You can't eat b'chotzer without it's keveya. The Rikukus has many people say that the chotzer is d'oraisa. But akaponim an issa d'do. It's not like zeis chakomim. It's an issa v'ashet smacht in the posik b'sherecha. So b'shat hiskul beheter is mutter. Yes, it's also for you mutter. What's the b'shat? It's not like zeis chakomim. Don't eat Erev Shabbos, some of the Chashecha, Erev Pesach, some of the Chashecha, because what's going to come out? Will come out, you're going to have a problem with the Teyovim, you're going to forget the Zman of Mincha. Doing the Chachamim of Hiskul Beheter, they were not goyim. This is Swaras in Zayis Chachamim. But Dotim is the Issa the Isa, because now he came in, or it says, even Issa the Rabbonim, but it's Issa the Rabbonim, but Shat long of them, Hiskul Beheter.
The one with guys on the chotzer, because dumb you to buy it, so they made it that you shouldn't.
No. You tell me I had to. He started beginner. Beginner is mutter.
Chachamim said chotzer is keveya, but in such a case, the Chacham say the chotzer is not keveya. Finish eating.
The chotzer is not keveya. Let me ask you a question. He brought in this pace over here. We're trying to break the pace. He was walking from the beginner to the chotzer. I break the pace. So zuk the Gemara, that what? He can finish eating, right? But the pace that he brought in now, this is zichah nikva. can't eat it later. He stops eating machta boy nefushes, machta lagevim. That's it. The zikr the peiris in nikva. So the peiris is nikva. Sheidu ahetet says and peiris that a kuvua, and you can eat it outright because you can finish eating. What's the sheidu finish eating? Now it's kuvua. That's kuvua. Okay. Anyway, zuk the gemara weiter. Was schon gesagt haben, ich hatte, I used to daven in Besmedish. So it was Chassidish Besmedish. They're going to eat a choshev eid. It was in Bonyad, a Talmud from Bonyad, Oberlande. And I sat back, right in back of him. So we used to speak and learning. So when I share book, so he said, Ezechaim. What's that teretz is Akasha? What's the teretz is Akasha? This, I think, in Bonyad, there was a way. We're going to Talmud Chochem. I'm just telling you. But this, in some land, we didn't grow up like that. Al Kaponim.
Das ist ein Kasche starten nicht.
Yeah, starten. It's good. Yeah, aber schlufen kann man nicht. Schlufen kann man nicht. Schlufen kann man nicht. Kann ich starten von der Geist, aber schlufen ist almost kennen. That's why the Pshach used to get up in the middle of the night and come into Besmedish. Rabbi say, what's the Pshat? That's where it's famous. Okay, zog die Gemara weiter. Oh, let's see the Pei Moshe. Let me the Pei Moshe. Look at the Pei Moshe as like Tamon Teninon, right? 5 lines from the bottom, approximately. Leil Pei Ches the Trumas. You can see in Army the Hodeshom. Eat the Ptafin, the Masnisen. What the Ptaf says you continue to eat. Does he hold like a blazer? The host and the Tam who Mishum Shizchel Behete. Right? Tam the Ptafin Mishum the Ovad Ukses Oichel Ketilosi. He's saying this is one achila. The end and the beginning is one. Kloima. What's left over is like the beginning by Eshkol. Ubetrumas legasina medivere b'zira b'chia b'lishn d'sveika libed b'tafen. So the gives it differently. Ela oimer b'tafen oisik can see his oichel tchilose. Here it's mesupik the Gemara. There it says mefurish the b'tafen hold not out because of his chubehete. The hete of b'tafen is you start at the beginner. Oisik can see his oichel k'tchilose. You can see there's one achila and one achila. It's permitted, more than one achil is not. But that's wrong. Does he hold the taf is a blazer because his rebeta? Or the time that the tafin is oisig soifait kitilos. The bila the hochi who misafka the Rabbi Yochanan either the tafin blazer the time that the tafin. Again, the Gemara repeats it again. It's a question what the reason for the tafin is. It's grapes, and grapes you could say there's many achilas. It's not a tzor it's called one achila, even though I could be mechalakid, but somehow the Mishnah holds that it's not the same thing like a taina, and Memela, that's the heta because it's considered achila achas, that's if you hold, not like a blessing, you hold like a b'zira. Zuk the Merah folder. Zuk the Merah folder. Taman Tanim Pechet the Truma Sham Pirashi Kol Asugi. Okay, shine. Look the Rashirilla. Taman Taninon on the left side, about 5 lines in the bottom. Except the Trumas Beiki Shechelas. The Chotza Mishnah Meres Misaibel Maise. Yigma. He starts beginner. He could end up in the Chotza. In the Chotza, he could finish. Gemara Mefashech. He could bless the sub is the Goime. Why does the blazer say you can finish? Afagab the Kol Gar Luchudei Niu. Even though every garga, every grape is a separate entity by itself, right? There's even a question about the people don't want to eat one grape at a time because there's a barrier, so you have to make alamichia, even though it doesn't have the shear. Because chadin, remember the shear like that's not grape, you used to never eat a whole grape. Almo cut it in half. I like to guess because of shaila of a barrier, then you have to make a noch bracha. You want to get involved, so you always cut them in half. So that's what he says. Go kol gar luchudei. Even every grape is fazich and it's a berry also. The ganze eshkol, the whole bunch is considered like one. How do we see that? The end is like the beginning. You take out the oichel from the end all the way on the bottom. It's like you're starting the achila on every grape. The kivin, the shayi haschala, the ba'al haschala was mutter. Why? Because it was beginner. And beginner, there's no kiviyas. Shari nami legmimma. You can finish also like a blazer for us, because it's not because of what I said. I said before the pshat was, the Pnei Moshe is mashma. It's considered one achila. And when aren't you allowed to eat one achila? You're not allowed to eat 2 achilas. Mitol shmach and consider. It's like the Andersh pshat. It's as if he's eating beginner, because you started beginner. and each one is not considered an entity by itself. It's like you eating the first part, and that's considered like eating betchil beginning in his mutter. Nachamol. Uktzas ha'oichel k'tilosei, Selishas ha'oichel mi'uktzei. We take off the oichel mi'uktzei. Choshu k'tchilas achila b'chol garger. And every grape that you're eating is the tchilasei. And where was the tchilasei? Tchilasei was beginner, and that was mutter. But even the shchayi has shlola. Shori namel migma kalam. By the Gisayt, he's saying the pshat is over here, not because of hisra behetem. So it's not hisra behetem. This haste ain't achila. About he's eating like you're eating, let's say, one apple, and this apple is a groisa apple, and he started eating the apple. Tchilas biyoseh. The tchila was b'makom beginner, and now you're finishing over here. So you go basas chola. The achila haste achila, which is achilas. Ginner, why is achilas ginner? Because you started in beginner, and because I started beginner, this haste gegessen beginner, it's not considered like you ate it in a chasa. Moedik chiddush, but this is not the pshat. So nishkan swas in the rabbanon. The this is swar in achila. When you start eating a macher and it goes over two different shus, a shus for the ginner, a shus for the chasa. Zukter blazer haste is gegessen the ganze Sache. He ate it bosset chilosik.
The Goyen says.
Oh, well, no, let's just finish Asir. Look at Sheish Boish Time Sholosh Achilas, the last line on the left side. V'noitel kol eshkol, and he takes the whole eshkol. To turn 2 pages here. Noitel kol eshkol. Hainu shemenichoi. How is this considered like the Chilsa Chilasa? Shemenichoi the toich piv b'bas achas. He puts the whole thing in his mouth. This whole eshkol, one time in his mouth, b'basachas, v'oichloi, to have it derech harei. Not to call it eshkol. It's a small eshkol, right?
Small grapes.
Small grapes. Yeah, you have these bunches of grapes, right? You have these small mini grapes. They call it the small grapes, right? Do that, not the big grapes that most people eat. They're talking about the klein sugar bunches, and that whole piece you treat with b'basachas, v'oichloi, to have it derech harei. Go 100 pshat in ganze. So that's what he's saying over here. It says, look, so you kick back in the Gemara, but he's touching like this. Do I say, did the B'tafin holds Kablaza, or did the B'tafin over the Achilas shade, but each time Achilas, Achilas? What says he holds like a blazer, then it's considered, you go boss it, it's Achilas Achilas. About the Achilas was beginner, and he's eating one eshkol, and that eshkol started beginner, so the sof is considered like the beginning. That's one shot. Not to the Gemara, or do I hold like a B'zira? And if Zita says, even though it's time for Shalosh Achilas, because he put it into his mouth at one time, as he's walking along and he's chewing on this, as he's walking from the Ginna to the Chotze, the Haber Derech Harai, that's considered Achilas Hayah. A man shastnish guy in the guy, person eats when he sits down, not when he's walking around, that's not considered Achilas. So Mele does like tip shot. Let me know the going. They're going. Let's see, Ksav Yad Aleph, Tamontini on the right side in the middle. Either B'tafim K'Rablez, Hodom B'tafim B'sis and Gavin to B'chotz, and Noitel Kol Eshko, you can take the whole Eshko, the Sabah K'Rablez, Rabloza, keeping the Hisla Behete, Goyim. Started Behete, the Goyim, Wachinam, keeping the guy Echa, Yochel, Echa Behete, because one guy keeps Behete, because that's the 8th beginner. It's Goyim Kol Eshko. Oy the Sabah, the Seifel Echa, but Chilas Echa, Hakal Echad, but Phil Godom Yoid, is mutter. More like the Rash Shirila at the end of here, because what? Seifa Echad, B'tchil Seifa, Hakal Echad. It's one Achila. I feel the Godom Yoid is mutter because it's one Achila. When you eat one big thing, it's considered what? It's a hete. Why? Why is it a hete? Because you go bust it with Chilas Achila. This is the second shot in the Goyen. What does he say over here? Sad Yad Beis.
Rabila, right?
What?
The last piece was Rabila. That's for the Bila.
Yeah. Okay, so Ksav Yad Beis. Oider B'tafin, Obed Uktis Eichel Chilosei, Pirish, the Seif Eichel B'tchilas Eichel Hakal Echad. I feel the God the Kama is mutter. Why? You go bust it with Chila. That's the same shot. The second line here, last line, we came Dafke Stein B'Shalosh Chilas Chila Echad. Who God let me oider for the B'tafin Moedish Yosei. Ganz andere Pshat. Ksav Yad Aleph, Ksav Yad Beis.
But Vaz quotes the Goyen. Go to the mind.
I'm taking this. Okay, but my point. I get into good place.